Hello everyone, my name is Vani Kubani and I am lecturer at Diploma in Information Technology Department, ASOID, Silver Oak University. Today we will be discussing about the C++, which is a programming language. So let's see what we will cover in today's lecture. So the topics that we will cover in today's lecture will be POP versus OOP. POP is a procedural oriented programming and object oriented programming. Okay, we will see what is that. We will learn about the basic principles of object oriented programming. We will learn about class and objects. What will be the application of object oriented programming? What will be the basic structure of C++? What will be the library files in our C++? What will be the data types, keywords and variables? So let's start with this. So now procedural programming versus object-oriented programming. We will see what is procedural programming first. Okay. So procedural programming, it's a technique or it's a method which the developers used to do before. Okay, in this technique, what we will do, we will take a problem and divide it into small problems. Okay, and we will do it step by step. Like we will perform one function, then we will perform another function and then the third function. Okay, and that is how we will solve the problem. Okay, but this techniques, have some issues with this, have some drawbacks with this. So now it is replaced by the object oriented programming. In this we don't do the functions first. Okay, in this what we will do first, we will divide our problem into the classes and the objects, like which all objects will be covering that thing. We will divide with that, and that particular object will have both the things, like what all will be the properties of that and the functions of that. Okay, so the procedural programming is about writing procedures, or we can say the writing functions, okay, of particular problems. Okay, dividing in that thing, and that operations are performed on the data. But the object oriented programming is about creating objects, okay, that will have both the data and the functions too. Okay, so we can easily bifurcate, like these are the objects. Okay, while in the procedural, like we only know the functions, we don't know the object. Okay, now object oriented supports polymorphism, inheritance and code reusability, while POP doesn't support these features. Okay, we will learn in the detail about these features in our upcoming lectures, but in short I can tell you that polymorphism means, we will create classes in this. Okay, polymorphism, what we will do, we can inherit one or more properties from our previous classes. Inheritance, okay, we can inherit from one class. In polymorphism we can inherit from many classes. Okay, and code reusability, of course we know that is the biggest part any developer can do, that is writing the code once and using it again and again. That is covered under OOP, it is not covered under POP. Okay, the main purpose of object oriented programming is on data security, like it will protect our data more, right? That is their main purpose, like to solve the problem and then the data security. But the POP, it's focused on how to get the task done. Okay, that is the thing. POP will just focus on like how we can do the task. But in our object oriented programming, we do the data security, like we do with the encapsulation. Okay, like with this we can wrap the object and do with this thing. Okay, but the POP is about how to get the task done. Let's see about this in our further lectures. Okay, principles of object oriented programming. These are the main 6 pillars on which our object oriented programming is stand on. Okay, so we just discussed about the polymorphism, inheritance and classes. Later in our upcoming classes we will discuss these in the details. Okay, now let's see what is abstraction. In short, abstraction means what will be the thing. If I want to hide some data from the user, I can hide it, like I will show them whatever is necessary from them, not the other things. Okay, that is the main thing. We can achieve the data security. Another one is encapsulation, like we will wrap the data in our object and we will send it to our user. It's a wrapping of data. Okay, polymorphism we saw. Inherit means inheriting the properties. object in creating the objects, and the group of objects is known as classes. Like we will discuss it later on. Okay, let's see further the basics of the object oriented programming and C++. Okay, let's start. Applications of object-oriented programming. Not only C++, but there are also many other languages which work on the object-oriented programming. It is the most demanded model, we can say, which where all the programming languages are working on. Okay, so these are the basic real-world examples or real-world applications of the object-oriented programming. Real-time systems, the things which we use in our real time, stimulations and the modelings, object-oriented databases, of course, it works in our databases also. It works in our the hypermedia and hypertext. Also AI, which is the most demanding thing in the world right now, that is also dependent on the concept of object-oriented programming. Neural networks and parallel programming, office automation systems which do the automations in our offices, CIM, CAM and the CAD systems. These are the real world examples of the object-oriented. It have many more examples, but these are the basic examples. Like our whole real world is completely rely on the object oriented programming. That's how it is helpful to us. Let's see more about it. Of C++. It is very similar to C language which we have studied before. Okay, and this first thing is hashtag include IOStream and hashtag include conio.h. Okay, as we have seen this thing, what is this conio.h and ios.stream? These are the preprocessor directories, okay, where our inbuilt function and all these things are there. Okay, what is this namespace library using namespace standard? Okay, it is a particular namespace, or we can say the global space, where we have this library standard. Okay, so if you are writing any function, suppose I'm writing any xyz function, okay, and that is belonging to the standard file of my namespace. Okay, so if I by mistakenly I don't write this thing, okay, and I run that function, it will throw an error because we have not tell our compiler that we have to use namespace std. Whatever function is there in below, if that belongs to this standard file, that have to be run. Okay, so that is the use of using namespace std. Integer main, it is similar to that we write the main function in C++. The difference is here it is integer. At that time it was void. Okay, now void means, as we know that before declaring any function, before that we write the data type, okay, whatever it is returning to us. Okay, so void means nothing we have to return, but as we have written integer means we have to return any integer. So if you are not returning any integer, by default I have to write down return 0. Okay, by default I have to write down return 0 just before the ending this braces. Okay, and these are the braces of this. Okay, in this we will write the body of the function. Okay, so this is the particular like the basic structure of C++ of creating a very simple program of C++. It is very similar to C. You can practice it more on this. Library files in C++. What is the use of library files? Library files means there are many inbuilt functions which are not supposed to create it. You can just directly use them. Okay, we just have to mention the library in which that functions are there. Okay, so a C++ library consists of one or more header files. Okay, according to the need in our program. Like if you are using different functions of the different things like some max, or we can say of the C++ basic, right? So we will use one or more header files to cover, to like abstract the function from that particular library. What will the header file provide? It will provide class and other definitions needed to access the library functions. Okay, it will provide me everything that I need to access the function from that particular library. The object library provides compiled functions and data that are linked with our program to produce an executable program. Okay, if I am writing the function which we have used in the library files, this file will give the compiler the instruction that we have to compile this function from the library file and have to execute it our program. So these are the uses of the library files in our C++. With the help of this, we don't have to create the pre-built, or we can say the predefined functions which are already there in our library files. Data types. you must be knowing this data types, like you have studied C language before this. Like it's a prerequisite when we are studying about C++, you should have the basic idea of the C language. C language is an example of the procedural oriented programming, but you should have the idea of that. Okay. So data types we have studied in C, but I can tell you like what are the data types. Data types is like it will define the data which tell the computer like which type of data that particular object can hold. Okay, if I am creating a variable, suppose X variable, I have to write down the define, like I have to define it what type of data it can hold, like whether it can hold the integer, it can hold the character, it can hold the double. Okay, whenever I am defining that thing, like suppose if I am writing this thing, suppose if I am writing integer, so I have to write down integer X. Okay, so this X will only contain the integer data with it. If I am assigning it to character A, it will give me an error. Okay, I can't do this. If I am declaring it this data or this variable as an integer data type, I have to assign it the data type, that particular data type only. Okay, similarly, I can't write down character A is equal to 13. Okay, this is wrong. I can't assign integer value to a variable which is defined as a character. Okay, so the data types tell like what data that object can hold. So data types is divided into three parts: primary, derived, and the user defined. In the primary, we have the basic data types, that is integer, character, boolean, floating point, double floating point, void, which is the null, and the white character. Okay, then we have derived, which we use like which we derive it. Okay, it's a function. Array of object can be like it's an array of integers, array of characters. Okay, pointer and the reference. Okay, and the user defined, which the user can define, that is class, structure, union, enum, and type definition. Okay, so these are the different data types which helps the like user, or which helps the compiler to tell this thing like which type of data the object can hold. We will see further about these derived and the user defined in our upcoming lectures. But for now, remember the basic data types, like what all are the data types with this. Okay. Keywords. Keywords are also known as the reserved words. It has some special meaning to the C++ compiler and are always written or typed in short, or we can say the lower cases. Okay. Keywords are the words that the language uses for a special purpose, such as void, integer, public, etc. I can't take any keywords as my variable name or the function name or any other identifier. I can't write down, like let's suppose I'm defining a character. Okay, it's a data type and I'm writing down its name as void. Okay, so that will give me an error, because for computer void means null. Okay, it won't accept void as my new variable which is defined as a character. No, it won't accept. So I can't take these keywords as my variable name or function name that have some fixed value. We can say the keywords are nothing but the constant which we have in our max. Okay, so that have the fixed value, that means they have the fixed value. Void means null, int means integer, and public it's an accessifier. Okay, so we can't take it that the variable name or function name. You have to remember the keywords while you're creating the variable. You should not write any keyword as your variable name. Let me show you the few basic keywords. Total keywords are 95. Let me show you few of them. These are some basic keywords which we have in our C++ language. As you can see, the continue, the float, private, static, sign, switch, okay, template, this, return, integer, everything these comes under keywords. I can't, again I'm telling you, we can't use these words as our variable name. You have to remember these keywords and what will be the meaning of this, because you will be using this for like switch cases, the character, you will be using all these keywords in your C++ language. So please remember at least these basic keywords to use them further and not to use them as your variable name. Variables. Now you must be knowing what will be the variables. Variable is a name given to a memory location. Suppose I am creating one variable, that is A. Okay, so that particular memory is blocked for this particular variable A. Now, how to define a variable? Okay, we will see that. Okay, in this, I can say that a variable name can consist of alphabets, uppercase, lowercase, both are allowed. Number are also allowed. Underscore character is also allowed. No special character is allowed in this, like the at the rate, okay, dollar. No special characters are allowed in this other than underscore. Okay, however, the name must not start with a number. Okay, it should not be like 1ab. Okay, this is not a variable name. It is not acceptable. Generally, we use the camel casing in our variable name. Suppose if I want to declare something, okay, integer, and I'm writing down like say my name Vani. So V should be capital, then underscore, then K should be capital. Okay, Vani, Kubani. V should be small and K should be capital. That is the camel casing, we can say. It's like a camel hump, we can say. Okay, so Vani underscore Kubani. That will be the basic fundamental of writing down or declaring any variable. Again, the same thing, we should not use the C++ keywords as our variable name. Let's see this. What will be the syntax of our declaring variable? So this is how the variable is declared. This, the data type, the variable name and the value of this. Okay. Now we can see that this is the reserve block for my age. Okay. Its value is 15 and its name is age. Okay. That is fixed in my RAM. Okay. This is, we can say, like it's a declaration also and it's a definition also. Another thing, we can declare it also, like simply writing down integer age, not defining its value. This is also considering writing down the variable. That is the only the declaration part. Okay, I'm not defining its value. I can define it further in my function. Okay, so that is the variable. So that's it for today's lecture. Thank you so much. I hope everything is clear with you. If you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comments, okay? And for upcoming lectures, like we will be covering the next topics in my upcoming lectures. So see you there.